If big ultra-wide monitors are your kind of thing, then the 52-inch LG ultra-wide may well be on your list to check out this year. And since we've recently covered the recently released 39-inch and 27-inch LG monitors here on this channel, I thought we'd just round it off with also covering this 52-inch model, which LG kindly agreed to sponsor. So, as always, I'm going to do my best to cover all of the areas for those of you who are interested in buying one of these 52-inch displays, as this is currently the largest monitor that LG makes, up from the previous year's 45-inch UltraGear, which I know a lot of owners are questioning whether this is, a worthy upgrade. Plus, those who are considering maybe the Dell 52-inch display, so I'll cover those off as well.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been freaking me out. Can't make you happy or not.
Starting off with the unboxing, and just because of the whole sheer size and curve of this monitor, the box for this screen is a bit of a beast. Although it's not too heavy, just very, very awkward to carry. Now in terms of the accessories, we get a gigantic power brick, a power cable, plus HDMI, DisplayPort, and USB-C cables, which are all 6 feet or 1.8 meters in length. There is also this plastic cover, which is used to hide the ports, and some of the cabling on the back, and of course the stand itself, which comes in 2 parts. Now the stand slots into the base and does that with 2 thumb screws. And then for kind of the awkward parts, this is where you'll probably want a friend to come and help you lift the screen out of the box and then hook it onto the stand. And as you can see here, it did take Matt a few attempts to do this by himself at the time. And because this is a VA panel, not an OLED, it is a little heavier than the 45-inch model. By the way, if you do have any questions about this display, then I will try to respond to each and every question in the comments down below, which, as the channel grows, it's getting quite challenging, but I will do my best. And of course, if you find this helpful in any way, do consider subscribing to the channel. We also have an LG monitors buyer's guide coming up soon, since there are just quite a few different models available now. So again, do subscribe if you want to see that video. And a huge thank you if you have subscribed off the back of one of our monitor reviews. As you can see, we have quite a few opportunities to check out even more displays this year, and that is just huge thanks to those of you who have subscribed, so thank you very much. Now design wise, it is of course an absolute beast. Still the same familiar and clean LG design that we've come to expect, and since this again is a VA and not an OLED, it does have some bezels around the outside, noticeably bigger of course than the 45-inch OLED, just to make space for that backlighting system. UltraGear branding on the bottom bezel here at the front and back of the stand, still with the simple LED design which you can set to a static color or have it cycle through or just switch it off if you're not into that. Now that aside, construction as always just feels solid, the ports are easily accessible, even the panel to cover the ports is well built. You also have a quick release button on the stand, simple but effective cable management, and easy access to the screen controls. Now the stand I'm gonna touch on briefly. It's the same stand as we've seen on many LG screens this year so far. Basic built-in cable management, a low profile footprint that doesn't intrude, and height, tilt and swivel, but there's no pivots. If you do ever really want a 52-inch display to be portrait for some reason, then you're gonna need to buy a separate monitor arm. But again, if you are doing that, just check you're using a monitor arm that is rated for this sort of weight. I can actually recommend the Secret Lab heavy duty monitor arm for this particular display. But on to specs now. So this is the LG 52G930B, which is a 52-inch, 240Hz, 5K 2K VA monitor, which LG dub as the world's largest 52-inch 5K 2K 240Hz gaming monitor, based on when this was announced in December 2025. So 1 DisplayPort 2.1 ports, 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, along with 1 USB-C, which has 90-watt charging, a 1 millisecond response time, and FreeSync Premium. There is no NVIDIA G-Sync on this one. There is 1000R curve. It's also VESA Display HDR 600 certified, built-in speakers, headphone outputs, and with 107 pixels per inch and 95% DCI P3 color. This is definitely aimed more towards gamers wanting big, wide, immersive gaming, but being 5K 2K, maybe like a little bit of productivity too. Now I think the biggest question I had when I saw this screen at CES earlier this year was, why does this monitor actually exist? We have the 45-inch UltraGear OLED, which is also 5K 2K, and really, well, a 52-inch OLED would be significantly more expensive, so I guess this really is one reason for those who want the biggest, fastest refresh rate display, 52-inch, 240Hz immersive gaming, especially for those who want to build perhaps a killer sim racing setup, which, speaking of, subscribe if you want to see the sim rig setup that we will most likely use this display for. Now, resolution-wise, yes, we do get 5K, 2K resolution, which is 5120 by 2160, which, again, for productivity is great for just like fitting everything you want onto one display. With that said, this runs at just 107 pixels per inch, when the 45-inch OLED model is 125 pixels per inch, and the 52-inch Dell is 129 pixels per inch. So again, focusing on gaming here, that's not really an issue. But if you are shopping for, a productivity first display, then there are other options like the 45-inch UltraGear that might be better suited. Because this screen does give you that higher 240Hz refresh rate at the full 5K 2K resolution versus just 165 on the 45-inch OLED model. Now, what is also a notable omission after reviewing the 39-inch and 27-inch UltraGear Evo models is that the 52-inch display doesn't feature any of the AI features which can do things like upscaling 1080p to 5K 2K and adapting the audio. Now, this is also a curved gaming monitor with a slightly shallower curve over the 45-inch model at 1000R on this one instead of 800R on the 45-inch model, which at this size definitely makes sense. Sat at like a regular distance, which is probably around like 80 centimeters or so, since most desks are like 80 centimeters deep, or even a little bit further if you're doing something like a sim racing rig, it just works really, really well. It is just the perfect curve that just wraps around you, like keeping everything in view. More immersive, if you will, like I know that word gets thrown around a lot nowadays. There is no looking around or in some cases leaning and stretching to see like the edges of the screen, like you do with some much wider ultra-wide screens. So things like mini-maps and the rest of your heads-up display, just all naturally by default when gaming, just fit into your like just natural view there. Now, in terms of reflections, then this does have a matte coating on the display, which does an incredible job at minimizing glare and reflections. Even when in brightly lit environments, you can see here there are a few highlight areas on the screen where we have some lights reflecting. Now, I know not everyone likes matte coatings, but it definitely is the way the industry seems to be going. And for someone who uses my monitor for both gaming and productivity, I do like not having the constant distractions of like lights or windows reflecting on my screen. But especially on this display, when we're at between 90 to 95% of DCI-P3, you're not buying this for color accuracy. You're buying this for 52-inch, 240Hz gaming. Let's talk about brightness and colors though. Compared to the rest of LG's UltraGear OLED lineup, this is definitely where this is at its weakest. So we're up to 600 peak nits in HDR with an advertised 400 typical in SDR and between 90 to 95% DCI-P3. Although it is nice that LG actually provides a color calibration feature as part of LG Switch software. But what's missing here on the VA is there is no True Black certification. And to me, that is one of the first things that I actually noticed after switching on this display. Colors look noticeably washed out and contrast levels are not the best. But don't forget, again, this is a VA panel, and actually as far as VA panels go, it actually performs pretty well. And surprisingly, as far as blooming goes, it's actually pretty good, far better in fact than the 57-inch Samsung G9 mini LED display. And of course, with no issues from burn-in that you do get from OLED panels. And also, it's always good to see how uniform the panel is in terms of brightness. And for this 52-inch display, it's not too bad. I saw it registering slightly higher around the left edge than the center of the display with, again, some slightly dimmer parts on the right-hand side. Though, again, all in all, it's not bad. Now, as far as connectivity goes, you've got two HDMI 2.1 ports, one DisplayPort 2.1 port with display stream compression, a USB-C port that provides 90 watts of charging, plus two USB-A ports. Now, for DisplayPort, it's running UHBR 13.5, which goes up to 54 gigabits per second, which isn't the full 80 gig per second UHBR 20 spec. And that does mean that to display 240Hz at full native 5K 2K resolution, it's still going to need to use display stream compression to actually get there. Now, the question of whether you can tell the difference is something that only really you can answer, but I know a lot of like Redditors don't like DSC, so I thought I'd just mention that here as well. Now, USB-C works great to hook up to a laptop, again, especially Mac users. There are also two USB-A ports to hook up things like webcams, maybe a USB dongle for wireless keyboard and mouse. But there is no USB KVM since there is only one USB upstream port, so you can't like switch between one set of devices between multiple machines. But you do have picture-in-picture and picture-by-picture, which I'll touch on in just a moment. But as far as connectivity goes, this screen just has everything that you'll generally need. Now, for productivity, we're going to touch on this. as far as the Mac goes, it's pretty good. My M4 MacBook Air and M4 Pro MacBook Pro gets only a 200Hz refresh rate at the full 5K 2K resolution. And with only a couple of USB-A ports on the back of the screen, you're definitely going to want to use a dock like the CalDigit TS5 Plus that I'm having to just add more expandability to your setup. The only thing I would say is that the main issue here is, again, the pixel density. Text doesn't look very sharp, so for those of you who are expecting, excellent productivity performance, then again, this isn't the best choice. But it will do the job if you accept that productivity is the secondary reason for buying this display over gaming. Now, over on Windows, it's a very similar story. I'm getting the full resolution at 240Hz HDR, 10-bit color, zero issues, of course. You can just need to make sure that your graphics card actually supports that kind of framing and output and resolution, scaling and all that kind of good stuff. But in terms of gaming performance, it is fantastic. You kind of just can forget about all the downsides of this thing. The sheer 52-inch size, the 240Hz refresh rates, the 5K 2K resolution. Again, providing you have a PC that can drive those sorts of specs, then, well, world's first 240Hz 5K 2K gaming monitor is what you've got. Now, we are fortunate enough to have a couple of different gaming PCs here to do some benchmarks. One AMD build, which is the Dell Alienware Area 51 PC, and one Intel build, which is the MSI Meg Vision X AI PC. Both of them have 5090s, 2TB M.2 SSD, 64GB of DDR5 RAM. I will leave a link down below to both if you want to see like the full spec just to compare with whatever you're running. And just playing a variety of games here. I'm just going to throw on the screen some rough FPS figures at all of these, the highest quality settings at that full native resolution, just so you know what kind of a performance you can expect if you have a similar spec setup. But again, overall, gaming on this display is just fantastic. The size is, of course, the main thing here, and being 52 inches and 240Hz, especially sim racing in something like Forza, such good fun. Quickly touching on console performance now. Now, because this is a 21:9 aspect ratio, you do get the black bars down the side, so you just need to be aware of that if you want to hook in a console. Otherwise, it does support everything for the PS5, 120Hz, HDR, VRR, all the good stuff. So if you do happen to buy one of these with the intention of using it for console gaming, it's going to be pretty awesome. Just remember you're going to have those black bars down the side. And also remember that consoles will tap out at 120Hz. You won't be able to get above 120 from anything but a computer. But if it's something that you maybe have sitting next to your desktop PC, I can see that being a really nice way to play your console games as well. Now, in terms of other features on this monitor, picture-in-picture, picture-by-picture, which you can control using the on-screen menu system, pretty straightforward. I tried using both my Mac and PC in picture-by-picture mode. It is worth noting that in this mode, both of them run at 75Hz. Otherwise, the on-screen controls, they work really well. Controls are on the back of the screen instead of underneath. There is quick access, again, to everything you could ever need. It's not bloated with anything. Tons of options for things you do care for and leaves out all the stuff you don't really want or need on the screen. You do still have options for a crosshair, FPS counter if you want to use those kind of things. Plus, as always with LG UltraGears, you can set those custom shortcuts to your, most often used like switching inputs or color profiles. There is no remote control, which weird, but I noticed some reviews have mentioned. But honestly, for the life of me, I can't recall the last time an LG UltraGear had a remote control. So just putting that in there for some reason. For the internal speakers, they are actually okay. I think mainly because of the size of the monitor. They're actually a lot louder than I actually thought they'd be.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. Heat waves been faking me out.
But like, again, most internal speakers, you just really want to be hooking up a headset or a pair of separate speakers to dramatically improve your sound quality. The good news here, though, is that if you do have a compatible wired headset, then you do have the DTS-X headphone output, which can connect in from underneath the screen just to give you the highest quality, essentially like 7.1 surround sound. Covering off temperature too, no issues here during regular use. It doesn't get too warm. Generally sits around 34 degrees at the hottest part, but again, definitely nothing to be concerned about here. Now for energy consumption, being that this is such a big panel and not OLED, it's gonna be pretty juicy. In general use, it hovers around 100 watts in 4K, like 5K, 2K desktop mode. Although if you show a full page of white and also in HDR, it can go up to like 120 or so watts. So it is quite juicy as far as that's concerned. And then of course, if all else fails, you've got LG's warranty, which is 2 years here in the UK. Although again, still, I'd love to see monitors get 5 or 6 year warranties that all TVs seem to have, especially since, you know, especially this larger 52-inch ultra-wide monitor is basically the size of smaller TVs nowadays. So problems. And this is where I think it depends, is the phrase to say. For me, I struggle to see why you would pick this up over the 45-inch OLED, with the only reason being that you want either 52 inches, 240 hertz, and no risk of burn-in. Otherwise, to me, the 45-inch is a better overall purchase. It's brighter, more vibrant, better contrast, better color accuracy, higher pixel density, so it's much better for productivity. It's lighter, easier to mount on a monitor arm, and importantly, they're about the same price. And especially considering the 45-inch display is over a year old now, you may even be able to pick one up used at an even more affordable price. But I think, again, for its purpose, as a pure gaming display, sim racers will love this display. And again, like I said earlier, after a few seconds of gameplay, you will totally forget about everything else. Now, of course, if you do have any other questions, please do leave them down below. I will do my best to respond to them. I will also leave links down below for you to go and find the best price and go check these monitors out for yourself. A huge thank you for watching. I hope this was useful and informative. If you want to go and see how this compares to the 45-inch UltraGear, click here, or maybe check out the 39-inch model here, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.